Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's News in Depth. I'm with Supervisor Richard Forster. How are you doing, Supervisor Richard Forster?
Tom.
It's good to see you again.
Yep, you too. How are you doing?
Good, good.
All right, we'll get right into the agenda. It's going to be interesting. We have a lot of very interesting topics on this agenda. The first one up, not real interesting if you're not a county employee, but if you're part of SEIU, it is a proposal by our Health Insurance Advisory Committee, which is made up of employees and our HR department, that they would take their insurance plan and it would have a higher Blue Shield deductible on it. In exchange for that, the county, it would cost the same amount of money to the county, but it would have a higher deductible for those employees that sign up into it. It would create a health savings account where some of the savings would be put into a health savings account for them. So it sounds like a very reasonable plan to me. It's not going to cost any more. It's going to help the employees. Why wouldn't we want to do this? And also, one other thing to point out is law enforcement does not have this plan. They don't have this option because all the employee groups can choose different plans. So this is one that we'll consider tomorrow.
You're going to be talking about this tomorrow. Then I imagine the employees and the unions are going to be going over it and
right,
have an opportunity to see how they weigh in on it.
And that advisory group, Health Insurance Advisory Group, which is making the recommendation. Next up, Maureen Funk will be in from the Amador Council of Tourism. She'll give her annual report and also her budget, where the money was spent. You know, it's in this era of transparency, even though the state is kind of going the other way on transparency, it's nice to see that Maureen's coming in with an intelligent report and trying to show where the expenditure of funds went. I know that's a big issue now with media especially, is where did the money go? So Maureen's going to tell us about that. State responsibility area fees, that's another big discussion. It's just on the agenda basically to talk about it now because people have started getting their notice of bills and their bill. I got my bill, you got your bill. I know several individuals who have got multiple bills. One gentleman in Comanche got 3 bills. He's got one habitable structure on one parcel. He's got to appeal the other 2. It is an issue where CAL FIRE and the State Board of Equalization never came to the counties. They never got agreements with the supervisors, never talked to our assessors. Jim Rooney, if they would have talked to our assessor, would have been much more easy for him to work with them on identifying parcels with habitable structures. Now you have people that are getting bills that shouldn't be getting bills. They're going to have to appeal it. It's going to be a long process.
So you'll be talking about SR 31 a little bit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The SRA fire fees. Sorry, getting that mixed up with something else that we will be talking about in the second part of this program, more in depth. Okay?
Right, and I have breaking news on the SRA fees too. There's a action to repeal it right now, and we can talk about that in the second half, as you said. Next up, we have the Regional Council of Rural Counties. I'll be giving that report.
Okay.
You know, part of what came out of my Regional Council of Rural Counties report was Proposition 30, Prop 31, talks about all of the other propositions that are on the ballot out there. Going to be 11 or 12 propositions on the ballot. People need to bone up on this because you just can't step into the polling place and guess at which ones are good and which ones are bad. You need to be educated on it. So people need to listen to TSPN. They need to read newspapers. They need to listen to everything else out there. But TSPN gives them a wealth of information.
You need to look into this stuff because on surface, almost everything sounds good. If you look at the other side, you know, a lot of times that sounds good as well. So it's hard to make up your mind. And you know, as we say, the devil's in the details. And if you're not looking in the details, boy, you can get burnt pretty easy.
Well, and the other thing, driving around in my vehicle, you listen on the radio, and there's all kinds of ads already running, pro or con. You know, those pro or con ads, you need to look at who's behind them because the devil's in the details, as you say, and some of these initiatives, in my mind, are really bad, and you need to know why some of the groups are opposing them. There's many self-interests out there.
And in fact, that's almost the way that you know, a lot of people decide. They might hear, oh, these people are paying for the ad, so therefore, you know, it's probably not an issue that I would vote for. You know, but sometimes even a watch can be right twice a day, a broken watch. So, sometimes people come up with good ideas. So you should really look at everything and try to see how things go.
And we are going to take positions tomorrow. Both myself as the representative for RCRC and Louis Boitano, the representative for California State Association of Counties, need to have positions taken by our board before we go and hear the discussions at the state level and vote our county position. First one up is the Governor's Initiative, Prop 30, which is the Schools and Local Public Safety Protection Act of 2012. It's a catchy name.
Okay.
Some of it has very little to do with schools other than a promise that some of the money that is saved will go back to schools.
Okay, so Richard, so on the agenda tomorrow, you're going to be discussing this item in a position that Amador County might take.
That is correct.
Okay.
And the big thing people need to know about Prop 30, and are we going to talk about this later, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll hold off on some of the details on it.
Okay.
And the other one we're going to discuss, which you had our CAO Chuck Eiley on discussing, was Prop 31.
Right.
And this is basically what's called the Government Performance and Accountability Act. It restricts certain things that the state can do. It actually gives the governor more authority in some situations to make changes at the state level. But it asks for accountability. If you're going to pass a bill, where's the money coming from? Do you have enough to pay for it? Future audits of those bills, a 5-year review, and then it goes back to the local level where it actually requires us at the local level to prove when we pass a measure in our budget that it's going to cost money, and where's that money going to come from? It asks for accountability of our departments. The problem is, in some cases, we don't, as the Board of Supervisors, we don't have control over the other elected officials, except for the budget. But we're asking them to provide accountability details. Well, you got some people that, some elected officials that basically are not going to be receptive to that, even though it's the right thing to do.
The accountability, though, probably more in the second half we could get into this too, but it's not clear to me that it's not like you're setting up clear pots of money that are going to be totally used for this. And the way that California does its accounting systems with this is here and changing, and I don't think it gives a clear revenue stream further out in the future.
I think you're right. It provides performance measures and ways that we can track where our money's being spent. But you're right, down the road, you don't know what's going to happen 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road. I mean, new legislators come in, new supervisors come in, and everything can change down the road. I mean, we had a Senator Evans from Santa Rosa area during our 1141 hearings that we told her this was passed in 2004 regarding the issue with the schools and basic aid. And she said, well, I wasn't here in 2004. Right. So you have legislators with that attitude.
Right. We have temporary legislators making somewhat permanent decisions.
And I don't know what our board's going to say on that, but I do know that Sutter Gold Mining Company is coming in asking for some changes to their plan that they have to their projects and facilities and how they want to move the different constituents around. We've already been getting some letters of people that, especially in Amador City area, rural area, that may not be all that much in favor of some of the trucks using roads like String Bean Alley, especially if you're going to increase the number of trucks. So these are things the Sutter Gold Mine is going to come in and ask. We've got Tom Infusino is representing Susan Bragstad, and he's already saying that any substantial changes should require going back for an updated EIR. That would be a lengthy process. So at that point, you never know. The project proponent may just say, I'd rather just leave it the way it is. I don't know how the board's going to react to all this. We'll find out tomorrow. And then we have the 2012-13 adopted budget in for approval tomorrow. We finally, after we have received the money for 1 year for basic aid, we'll go back and rebalance our budget. But the AB 1141 that Assembly Member Huber offered was held in the suspense file. It was restricted from being allowed to be voted on by the full body. Right. Senator Darrell Steinberg, one of his staff members, had heartburn with it and recommended that it stay in the suspense file. So because of one individual who, the nicest thing I can say is he was not very educated about the situation, and he was not receptive to helping Amador County or other counties in the basic aid situation. We'll have to go back and fight for that money in the future.
Okay. Now, if we do go back to fight for money that in the future, who'll be carrying the bill for that, or who's going to be talking that up for us?
It will probably be our next senator or our next assembly member. Unfortunately, because of Senator Gaines being redistricted out, we essentially will be without a senator for a period of time. So it'll most likely be our assembly member, either Frank Bigelow or Rico All, or whoever gets elected.
Okay. And Richard, we have another minute. Why don't we tell people that at the board meeting, at the agenda, they'll be talking about these things. So if you'd like to get some input, some of this stuff sounds interesting to you, you want to show up and weigh in on it, right?
And people need to find out, we will mention the other initiatives during my RCRC report. One initiative that's competing directly with this Prop 30, the governor's initiative, is the Molly Munger initiative.
Okay.
Well, the governor, Senators Boxer and Feinstein, and Darrell Steinberg, the Senate Pro Tem in Sacramento, all put out a letter telling the state PTA that they should stop bad-mouthing the governor's initiative. And they just did this last week.
Well, if you want to be an all-powerful governor, you better have people quit bad-mouthing you. And we'll be back from the other side of the break with more right here on TSPN. You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.